Before we start playing, I just need to explain a few pieces of musical theory so what I'm talking about makes sense. But don't get too hung up on the theory I'm about to mention, because we will keep on revisiting it later. The 2-5-1 chord progression is the most common progression found in jazz, and is the foundation of a lot of mainstream jazz harmony. The Roman numerals 2-5-1 refer to the second, fifth, and first degrees of a key or scale. For example, if you take the C major scale, so what is a scale? A scale is a series of notes played in order. So I just played for you the C major scale, which goes from C all the way through the white keys to the C above. If you give each of these notes a number from 1 through to 7, these numbers are called the degrees of the scale. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the top is another 1 again, because it's the same note as the starting note, a C, but just 1 octave higher. And in case you don't know, an octave is 8 notes. Oct. 8. So it's just a way of counting up any scale. So you could take those Roman numerals and apply them to any scale. For example, the D major scale. And don't worry, you don't need to know this scale at the moment. I'm just using it as an example. So you could take the D major scale, which is this, and apply those numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1 again. So you can apply these numbers or degrees of the scale to any of them. Now, I'll just say one thing. Don't worry if you can't read music. I will be writing the letter names out next to the music notation. I'm using the notation as a visual aid. You don't need to be able to read music in order to take this course, although if you can, that's just an extra bonus. A chord is more than one note played at the same time. For example, technically this is a chord. But usually, chords are more than 3 notes played at once. For example, this is a chord. Or this is a chord. Or you can get bigger chords, or more dissonant chords, or even this is a chord, which is just a cluster chord. In pop and rock music, more often than not, simpler chords are used. For example, this is the C major chord, which is made up of the first, third, and fifth degrees of the C major scale. Jazz often uses more notes to create richer and more diverse sounding chords. And in the next lecture, I'll show you a simple way that you can play some of these richer sounding jazz chords. Let's start playing some jazzy 7 chords. But first of all, I need to teach you a word. And that word is diatonic. Diatonic means belonging to a scale or key. So remember that word, diatonic. In jazz, 4-part chords are more commonly used as they give a richer and more diverse sound, and are often referred to as 7th chords because they are made up of 1st, 3rd, 5th, and 7th intervals. When I was designing this course, I was very aware that lots of other methods of learning jazz are very theory heavy very early on, and so I want to flip this on its head. First of all, I want to get you playing some really cool jazz chords right now, and then you're going to learn the theory afterwards. So I will be using some terms like major seventh, minor seventh, but don't worry, I want to get you to play these chords first, and then I'm going to tell you what it means in the lecture after. Okay, just so you can get going and feel like you're playing some nice cool jazz chords. So let's dive straight in and do the theory afterwards, because to play these 7 chords, all you need to do is learn one pattern. So for the moment, to play these chords, think about it like a pattern. Put your thumb on middle C, then skip the D, put your second finger on the E, skip the F, third finger on the G, skip the A, and then put your 5th finger on the B. Can you see that you are playing a key, missing a key, playing a key, missing a key, playing a key, missing a key, and then playing a key? This is made up of third intervals. So for the moment, I want you to think about these 7th chords with this pattern. Play, skip, play, skip, play, skip, play. Like that. Then, even if you can't read the music notation, all you need to do is move that pattern up 1 step to the right and you'll be able to play the next chord. So you can play that C major 7 chord, and as I said, I'll explain what these different kinds of 7 chords means in the lecture afterwards. But for the moment, all you need to do is move every single one of those white keys up 1 step to the right. So kind of keep your hand locked and move them all up by 1 step. So your thumb's on the D and you've got the play, skip, play, skip, play, skip, play. And then you can move the same shape up again to the E minor 7. So you've got C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, and you can keep on moving up. G 7, A minor 7, B minor 7 flat 5, and C major 7. And I'm aware, yes, I was saying all those different kinds of 7 chords, but as I said, I will explain afterwards. So let's just go back to that word diatonic. So diatonic means belonging to the scale or key. And these are all white keys, so they all belong to the C major scale. And that's what makes this easy, because you're not having to worry about any black keys or anything, or different spacing between them. It's just that same pattern. So as you can see, all these chords are built using notes from the C major scale. So these diatonic 7th chords are moving up through the degrees of the C major scale. So this could be the C chord, but also the 1. This could be the D chord, or the 2, or the 3 on the E, 4 on the F, 5 on the G, 6 on the A, 7 on the B, and back to the 1 on the octave C on top. Have a go at playing these 7th chords, going up and down the degrees of the scale with your right hand. Now have a go at playing those chords, but with your left hand. So with your right, you were starting from middle C. Now, you're going to have a go with your left hand, but an octave lower, so 8 notes down to the C below. There. And you just need to use slightly different fingering for this. You need to use your 5th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st. So it's exactly the same pattern. Play, skip, play, skip, play, skip, play, as you're doing up here. But you're starting with your 5, your 5th finger. So you're identifying the chord with your 5 now, not with your thumb, like in your right hand. The C was with your thumb, D starting with your thumb, E with your thumb. In the left hand, it's the other way around. So 5 on the C. Can move the same pattern up. 5 on the D now. 5 on E. Okay, so have a go at going up those 7 chords, but with your left hand. So that's the C major 7, the D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G7, A minor 7, B7 flat 5, and then up to the C major 7 on top. And again, with the numbers or the degrees of the scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1. And you can go back down as well. So have a go at those chords, but now with your left hand. And try and keep an arch in your hands and your fingers when you're playing this. Don't play with flat fingers. Over to you. As I said before, I want to get you playing the piano as soon as possible. And that's what we're going to do now. We're going to have a play around using the left hand chords and the C major scale in your right hand. And there's not going to be any rules, we're not going to worry about any kind of timing, and we're not going to have any kind of specific order of chords in your left hand. We're just going to have a play around. So all you need to do is play any white key with your right hand, along with any of those chords with your left. And this is just to give you a chance to get playing the piano. For example, so all I was doing there was playing any of those left-hand diatonic 7th chords, and all I was doing with my right hand was playing around with the C major scale, which is just the white keys. And you don't have to go up in steps all the time. I was jumping around here and there. And just one suggestion, your left hand is playing in this area, isn't it, here? So if I were you, I'd go up 1 octave from middle C and play around in more this area with your right hand. So as I said, don't worry too much about the fingering. I mean, you could even just use one finger to make this sound cool. Look. Yeah, so don't worry about anything like that. You can just use one finger if you want. But yeah, just have a play around. And one other suggestion, if you've got a sustain pedal, which is the one which makes the notes ring out, try pushing it down when you're having a go at this, because it sounds quite nice when the notes are ringing out as opposed to... But that's just a suggestion. So have a play around now, and don't worry too much about what you're playing. Just have a go and see what happens.